Kia ora, and welcome to Elevate Her Game, a podcast where we sit down with inspiring women who are doing incredible things, diving deeper into their stories, their journeys, and what drives them. You're joined by journos Hannah Feck and Mikayla Lemon.
Today we talk to Karin Burger, Silver Ferns captain and nutrition student at Ada. Karin talks us through what life is like as a professional athlete and how she got from growing up in South Africa to moving to New Zealand and playing netball on the world stage. Welcome, Karin, to Elevate Her Game. Thanks so much for coming in. I know you've got a busy schedule, and being named as Silver Ferns captain for the upcoming series is so exciting. So congratulations on that.
Thanks for having me. Always up for a yarn, so happy to be here.
That's awesome. To start us off, tell us, who is Karin Burger? How have you got into this chair today?
Yeah, oh gosh, I feel like I repeat this so many times. Born South African, born and raised, lived in a little small town called Vredendal. So Afrikaans is my first language. And then when I turned 18, I said, see you later, Mum. Mum had a cousin in New Zealand at the time, so I just met them when I moved over. And then I loved it so much that I just stayed in New Zealand. And I always get asked, did you move for netball? I guess it was an opportunity and an option to do, but that wasn't my prime reason. I just wanted to do something different and do something with my life. So decided what better way to do that than move to a completely different country where I don't know anybody. So, and then I just started building a life for myself, and netball sort of just evolved throughout the years. So, yeah, it's just been a ongoing process of enjoying immigrating to a different country.
And how old were you when you started playing netball? Like, did you play in South Africa?
Yeah, Mum played throughout her whole life as well. Not obviously professional, but in the school or in the small town we had as well, club nights as well. And I grew up on the sideline, and I always say, or I joke and say, I got my netball talent from Mum because she played while she was pregnant with me up to like 7 months. So it was very big in our little community.
And having the transition going from South Africa, living in South Africa to New Zealand, how was that? Like going to school, what were the changes?
Yeah, obviously like a culture shock to start off with. I grew up in a small town where I only really spoke Afrikaans. In South Africa, it's mandatory to have English as your second language, so I could speak it, I could read it, I knew everything, but I never used it on a regular basis. So I think that's probably the biggest shock for me, was sort of like full immersion in English, and that's quite often I get asked about the accent that I've picked up, and I put it down to that.
When you were at school in South Africa and then coming over here, did you ever see yourself playing netball professionally, especially for another country?
Obviously when you grow up, you've got the dream of doing what you love for a living. And so, but having a dream and a goal are two different things. So obviously had that in the back of my mind of wanting to do that, but not necessarily knowing whether it will actually become real. And so when I moved here, starting to play at club level, I had to start from scratch because I had no name for myself. So started in Wellington in a small town club called Nine Collegians. And they pretty much took me in and took care of me and supported me throughout the years, and still to this day I talk to them all the time, so like almost became a little family away from home. And so I've really had to start from scratch and building that way, and throughout that I started building a life outside, friends and a community, and that sort of helped me throughout the process as well, and things just went really well, and like one thing led to the next.
And who's a player that kind of supported you when you first moved into the team? Who did you relate to the most?
I don't have that ever. Like, I like roaming between players. I can connect with anybody and everywhere. So I don't have that one person that I always go to. But in terms of when I first joined the Ferns, I had built a really good relationship with Katrina because we played defensively together at the time. And I remember in the Pulse, we had one of our specialist coaches was Waimarama Taumanu, and anybody who knows her would be like, ooh. So she shows love through, like, tough love. And when I first joined, 2017 was my first year with the Pulse. I spent all of 22 minutes on court that whole year. And in all of my trainings was always just like yelling from the sideline, constructive feedback. Like, Karin, what are you doing? Like, where are you? Like, what? So there was constant chat at me. And so at the start, I struggled quite a bit with trying to deal with why a lot of this was coming at me. But I remember there was one day in a training and I went to fill up my water bottle and Katrina came over to me. She's like, Karin, if she is talking to you, it means she sees potential. So that's a good thing. You should worry the moment she stops talking to you. And I think that shifted my mindset completely. And I learnt so much from her. And she, like Katrina, obviously being on the line with me, I started as competition in that position with her. And then I saw a potential to move to a different position and work with her. And so that is sort of what we made work. And that just transitioned into the Ferns as well, that she was always there for support, and because she'd been in that group for so many years, she was able to give a lot of advice in that sense.
What's been the most memorable moment you've had in your time with the Ferns, not just on the field but also like on the sidelines?
One I would vividly remember forever is when I when I played my first game against South Africa. My home country, which is quite interesting, standing on the transverse line and like having to listen to the anthem rather than being able to sing it with them. And then that specific game, we went into double overtime as well. So it was a really intense game. And I think that was my first game that I played a full 60 minutes as well. So lots happening in that one. That's why it's so memorable. But the other one I'll definitely remember is 2019 World Cup. And it wasn't necessarily just one moment. There's multiple moments. Like my mum, that was the first time my mum came to watch me play professional netball since I'd left home. So, and I always, as I was growing up throughout my life, had my parents on the sideline of everything. So moving to New Zealand was the first time I didn't have any of that. And so at World Cup, I remember, I think it was a game against, I want to say Uganda or something. But I remember going for a ball on the court, and it was a prelim game. It was just round robins, and I could hear my mum's voice in the crowd. So that still sticks with me to this day. That was massive. And then our semi-final was amazing as well because we played against England in England. Wow. I couldn't even hear the person next to me on the bench. It was so loud. It was next level.
And how important, like obviously the physical side of training is important, but how important is like building a relationship with your teammates?
Yeah, I think there's a really good balance that's needed with that. One thing that people need, that I've realised, and I would hope that others would realise too, because that would help with self-identity too, is you're not going to be best friends with everybody on the team. But as long as you know what the end goal is and what you want to try and achieve, and you can work together to do that, I think that's the key thing. So when we're saying players are united and we get along really well, it's in the sense of sporting. It's a high performance environment. You have to. It doesn't mean I'm going to hang out with you all the time off court and we're going to go grab coffees and tell each other secrets and stuff like that. Yeah. You know, that it's very special when you find people that you can do that with, but it's like any other working place. It's like you're not going to have everybody as your best mates in your workplace that you go to, but that's probably the misconception people can sometimes have, and for that reason why players can potentially feel left out or they don't fit in because, why aren't I connecting with everybody? Why aren't I best friends with everybody? That's not normal. And so I think it's understanding it's a high performance environment. I can get along and do my job because we know what we need to do and what requires for us to do that. But that's, you know, if you can build a relationship off court and have that connection off court, even better. But it doesn't have to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Does it sometimes feel like work? And sometimes you feel like, I just can't be bothered going to training today.
Yeah, honestly. But then whenever I catch myself saying that, I was like, stop it. I get to play a sport for a living, and I get to do what I absolutely love for a living. and I don't get to do this for very long. My body won't be able to do this for the rest of my life. So I need to make the most of what I can do right now. And so, yes, it definitely is. Like, if I have to get up every single day, do training once or twice a day, every single day, it's draining. And I think that's the other thing people, the misconception is, oh, you're an athlete. It must be so nice that you always just get to play netball. We put a lot of hard work in to be able to do that day in and day out. And, you know, so I get to do what I love 100%, but it is hard work. But I also don't want to get stuck on, oh, it's work.
Mm-hmm. If you didn't have netball, what else do you think you'd be doing? Or what else do you think you will do once you finish playing?
Yeah, it touches a little bit on how I said the person that I was when I first moved here was completely different to what I am now. I think if I didn't move to New Zealand, you know, play netball or whatever, I probably would have gone down the route of like physiotherapy. I love like biology in the body and understanding how it moves. But now that I have been an athlete and I see what the physios have to go through and what they have to deal with all the time, I was like, thank goodness I didn't. But yeah, and I think throughout the years, it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do because I'm so fortunate to do what I love now, I would hate to go into a job that I don't love. And so it was important for me to find that something that I would love doing long term too, but also knowing that I need to make a living off it. So hence why I've only just recently, at 30 years old, a couple of years ago, decided to go into nutrition. And it also only just really happened to me. I had a injury in 2023, 22, anyway. Few years ago, and I had a fracture in my foot that took me out of the sport for 6 months. And prior to that was my first injury that actually took me out of the sport, which was I was in denial for a little bit with that one. I didn't want to accept that, but it gave me there's always a silver lining. I always look at a silver lining at anything that happens, and in this one particularly, it gave me 6 months to figure out what I wanted to do with life after netball. And when things are going well, you don't really change much in what you do because if you make any drastic changes in your life, you don't know if it's going to go for the better or the worse. So I never changed anything with my diet. And then once I had the injury, I was like, right, well, 6 months, I can't actually do anything right now, so I might as well experiment. So did lots of stuff with it in terms of going lactose-free, going gluten-free, cutting out sugar completely. So lots of things. And the changes that I felt and saw in my body, I was fascinated to know the science behind it. And so that's where it just snapped. I was like, oh, maybe I could do nutrition and figure these things out. And so yeah, the following year I signed up for papers to start doing a degree in nutrition, and I've loved it. So hopefully figuring out what I want to do with it after. I've got a few ideas, so I'll work over it on that for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. For all the young women listening to this podcast, what piece of advice would you give to them, especially those wanting to go to professional sport?
I know it sounds cliched to say hard work, but it definitely, like, hard work, you can't go past that. And for me personally, having a positive outlook on things, regardless of if things go bad, you've got to see the silver lining of it. But staying true to that and being able to do that is knowing what you stand for and what your values are and being true to yourself, and not being afraid to do that. And touching on how I mentioned it's hard sometimes because you don't necessarily feel like you're fitting in. If you don't fit in, that's okay as well. Just be true to yourself, because if you're confident in yourself and you know how to be fully yourself, I think that will take you way further in life than trying to fit in with the rest. Not necessarily advice that was given to me, but that I'd like to give to others as well, young ones especially. We're so afraid of putting ourselves in vulnerable positions, but those are the times that we actually learn so much about ourselves and skill sets of moving forward. And as much as it sucks going through that, it'll pass. Like, it will pass, and you will learn a lot from it. And you can take that into the future if you ever encounter anything to that degree ever again. That will help you through the next phase. So, yeah.
If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Put yourself out there.
Yeah. What's your hype pre-game ritual?
Okay, I don't know if it's a ritual per se, but I drink decaf so that when I do have caffeine, it hits me. So on game day, I at least have 3 or 4 coffees. Maybe push it and have a bit more caffeine right before the game with some strips of stuff too. So like the brain is really working.
What's something people would be surprised to know about you?
I'm actually quite shy, a shy person. I've only over the years learned to not be like that. But deep down, I'm an introvert and I'm shy. So, yeah, my teammates will be able to tell you, I like spending time in my own room.
How do you celebrate your wins?
So we have a little chant we sing in the changing room that hypes us up quite well, which is quite nice. And quite often we don't have more time than that to actually celebrate because we've got to get on with the next thing. But I do like a sweet treat. I try and stay away from them, but during the day, if it's game day, we always have a bit of time to go have a coffee or whatever. Mm-hmm. So wherever we go to a coffee shop, I'll get a sweet treat for afterwards.
One thing that you're most proud of in your career?
I don't think it's one thing. I think it's only really hit me over the years now that I've spent so much time away from family. It's the fact that I can spend so much time away from my family, and I've been able to build this life. I grew up in a household where we have a little motto all for one for all, we do everything together, and so it was a massive adjustment for me to leave all of that behind. Obviously have a lot of support from them over phone calls and text messages and stuff, but it's not the same as in person, and so I guess that's probably the proudest thing I have for myself is the fact that I was able to leave all of that comfort behind.
Who is the most powerful woman you know?
I can only make that judgment in terms of what I know from players or people personally. And so for that reason, on me, most powerful or influential on me would be the women in my life, would be my mum and my sister. Mm-hmm. Because they know me personally very well, and quite often I don't see my own flaws or my own strengths that they can point out and help me. And so in that sense, they're quite powerful in how I see myself and how I act and what I do. So, yeah, it's a bit weird not giving you a big name out there. But, yeah, so for me, it'll be those two. Yeah, definitely.
I probably would have said the same thing. To be honest,
it
is. Awesome. Got those questions in the end.
Awesome.
That's great. Thank you so much.
That's all right. Thanks for having me.